Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Martin Wenzel. This is Microsoft Flight Simulator and our World Tour. And we're on World Tour Flight 289. We're flying from Delhi, India, just outside of New Delhi, up to Kathmandu, Nepal. On board AIRINDIA Flight 215 in the Airbus A320neo, the FlyByWire A20N mod. We're here at beautiful freeware rendition of Indira Gandhi International Airport, which actually seems to work better and, with a few exceptions, looks better than the payware that came out like a month ago or two. We landed, I was using the payware, just checking it out, and the jetways were all broken and weird. And as you can see, the jetways are actually in the proper spot right now. Now the terminal building, you know, there's some details missing, and it's not as detailed. But even I think the payware didn't have interiors, didn't have all this stuff. Like the roof here was a little bit more angled, but little details like that. But otherwise, you know, it's got most of the details that you're gonna need, and pretty good for freeware. And again, like little details like this, the gates got the little hands. And the biggest thing is that the jetways are in the proper place, as opposed to the payware for some reason. What just wasn't working. So let's get inside the plane. Get things started. Inbound aviation. Good morning. Alright, just trying to get my microphone stuff set up right here. My son, he loves the microphone. He loves to play with it and kind of messes up how it's arranged. Oh, okay, this is Jake. Jake the Aviator. Awesome. Well, welcome back. It's been a while. Alright, let's do our safety check. Engine master switch is off, ignition normal, weather radar is off, landing gear down, and wipers off. We'll let the our crew, or our first officer, start their flow. Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to stick to a schedule again as much as possible. This time of year it's starting to get a little bit, seems like the last month I've kind of had like a pretty steady off every weekend, or every other weekend I'm off so I can stream, and then 2 days during the week. It was Wednesday and Thursday. This upcoming week, well, today it's Tuesday, I'm off tomorrow as well. And then I don't have this upcoming weekend off, but I'm expecting to have next week Tuesday and Wednesday off, I would hope. And then I'll have Saturday, Sunday off. Alright, she's going out for the walk around, so let's do our flow. There we go. And we're just going to clear white lights, except for the fuel pumps for now. Crew supply on, ground control on, CVR test. Nav 132 on for the ADIRS. Strobe auto. Nav logo lights already on. Seatbelts once we are fueled. Emergency lights armed. No smoking auto. Anything with our lighting. Cabin pressure is no white lights. Air conditioning panel, no white lights. APU bleed is on. External power also on. Only lights on here are the Gen 2 and Gen 1 faults. Battery 1 and 2 off, and then on. Fuel pumps will wait until just before pushback to turn those on. Engine 1 fire test. Engine 2 fire test. Yeah, what I've been doing lately with my streams too is I'm recording them, which actually led to a little bit of a overload for my PC last stream for some reason. I've never had that. I had my settings just set where I could stream to Twitch, stream to YouTube, and record. So it put in a lot on my PC. But by recording the stream, I can edit things, I can take out music, add music, and also then upload the stream later, which I try to do the same day. I try to upload it the next or later, with a few tweaks if I need to, or just upload it as is, and that way you guys have a higher quality version to watch and replay. And you can tell you're watching a replay version because the title will not have a big red dot in it, which means live, like this one, but obviously like replay. Just because I noticed obviously the quality is better on the recordings than on the streams sometimes, and also sometimes the stream just hiccups, right? Where you guys would mention that, where it's like, oh well, it's glitching in and out, but the recording doesn't do that unless I have an encoding overload or something.
I'm back. No issues on the walk around.
Yeah, I love the animated first officer. All right, we're kind of putzing here. Well, not really putzing. We're doing all right. All right, just getting everything kind of turned up. All right. Where am I in my flow here? Go all the way up top. That's not up top. This is up top. Audio switching panel normal. Maintenance panel, no lights. Go down to this. Make sure your radio panel is on. The cell light, green light is off, and the nav, green light is off, and covered with a little shield. Okay. So we're about ready to start letting the passengers on board. I'm going to call for a fuel truck. We're going to see if the GSX fuel truck works. Of all the planes, this is the one that it works with best. Well, let's see if we can get that. So a request, refueling. I should have asked for that earlier because it takes forever to get over here. Alright, we'll do that.
Hi, the security and safety checks are all done. Are we good to start boarding?
Yes.
Okay.
I muted the wrong mic there. You hear me like just doing all my nose things. Father flies the 319, 320, and 321 in real life. Now, did he fly those all, at the same time, or has flown those? I'm not sure how the type rating works for the Airbus. I would figure because, like with the Boeing, for example, I think you usually get type rated like for like the 757, but you're also type rated for the 767 at the same time, I think. Yeah, okay. Because I figure, they're just like, I think it's just the plane length, really. Everything else is almost the same. It's just slight variations on the size of that plane. It's kind of like with the CRJ or the ERJ, right? If you got the CRJ type rating, you'll have, even one day, like if you're flying for like a SkyWest or an Endeavor, I think SkyWest, one of the ones where they go between like United Express and American Eagle and Delta Connection and Alaska Horizon. You'll fly some flights. You'll be flying in the CRJ 200. Next flight you might fly the CRJ 550. Next flight you might fly the CRJ 700. You might fly the 900. You might fly the 1000. So you could fly all, 5 of the. Probably not in one day, but you could potentially fly them all in one day. At a regional carrier like a SkyWest. So yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. You never mentioned that before, so that's pretty cool actually. Oops. I want to kind of use the... You always got to call the fuel truck as soon as possible because it has to come from wherever it's coming from at the airport. I guess what we'll do, let's start boarding everyone else, and then the fuel truck will come over. And if it doesn't, we'll just do it through the plane. Alright, so request boarding. I think that's the fuel truck right there, actually. If they can get here before... At least I think that's the fuel truck, and it's going the wrong way. Actually, I think the fuel truck can still get to it, because I think it'll connect right here. Should be fine. Because sometimes what will happen is it won't be able to fuel because they're loading the cargo, and that's blocking.
Passengers boarding starting.
There come the passengers. We have 160 passengers today. Them loading up right now, and fuel, we're gonna need 4 minutes to get 6,600 kilos once we get to that point.
I'm right next to her. Thank you.
Well, you have to go watch my my regional flights, and I do my regional flights because I fly the CRJ all the time in there. Yeah, once you, I mean, it's like any of these planes. I mean, like the Airbus is pretty easy by comparison, but I mean, at this point, the most complicated thing for me with the CRJ is you have to, you have no auto throttle, so you're constantly, you know, and the problem with the Thrustmaster, the throttle I have, it's, you know, pretty cheap in the scheme of throttles, so it's very hard to get it locked right in where you want. You know, you kind of go, oh, you know, 10%, you know, the difference between 10% and 20% is like, you can't do it, almost. And it's like, okay, but I want to be at 15%. Well, no, you can't. Sorry, you're either at 20 or 10. Yeah, for sure, check those out. They're called a pilot's life too, because I fly my CRJ flights, a pilot's life. I'm doing careers. I've got my latest two that have gone up are for Ibex Airlines flying in Japan, so pretty cool. All right, let's get inside the box here and get things set up. So, okay, I'm gonna be updating this after tomorrow. We'll still be good tomorrow. That's good. All right, pull that in from SimBrief. The great thing with just pulling in from SimBrief is it doesn't take us too long to set up everything in here. We can kind of watch the passengers come on the plane. That's nice, right? Over here for now. Okay, so double checking everything in the box. Victor India Delta Papa, Victor November Kilo Tango, Victor Golf Hotel Sierra, that's Dhaka, Bangladesh. Air India 215, Costa Next 10, flight level 370. Payload, we have our zero fuel weight, 59.4 4. And center of gravity, we're looking at 32.9. .6 on the fuel, and our headwind, or our trip wind, is going to be plus 35, so we got a nice tailwind of 35 knots. I put that away. Alright, flight plan. Going to Alley, Jal, November Golf Juliet, Whiskey 41 to Manka, and then in for our arrival. Let's get our clearance.
Delhi clearance, Air India 215, gate Alpha 10, request clearance to Tribhuvan with information mic.
Air India 215, cleared to Tribhuvan via Alpha Lima India 6 Bravo, departure runway 28, initial climb flight level 90, then as filed, squawk 6551.
Cleared to Tribhuvan via Alpha Lima India 6 Bravo, departure runway 28, initial climb flight level 90, then as filed, squawk 6551, Air India 215.
Air India 215, read back correct, wind ready, contact Delhi ground 121.9.
121.9, Air India 215.
Hey guys, all parks are on board. Are we clear to close?
Delhi clearance, Air India 211, gate 12, request clearance to Victor November Kilo Tango with information mic. Air India 211 cleared to Tribhuvan via Alpha Lima India 6 Bravo. Departure runway 28. Initial climb flight level 9 then as filed. Squawk 6576. Cleared to Tribhuvan via Alpha Lima India 6 Bravo. Departure runway 28. Initial climb flight level 90 then as filed. Squawk 6576. Air India 211. Air India 211, red back correct, wind ready, contact Delhi ground 121.9. 121.9, Air India 211.
Delhi clearance, Alpha 6637827, request clearance to Victor Alpha Bravo Oscar with information like.
Alpha 6637 cleared to Victor Alpha Bravo Oscar via Alpha 6 Bravo. Departure runway 28. Initial climb flight level 90 then as filed. Squawk 6606.
Clear to Pagoda via Alpha Kilo Romeo India 6 Bravo. Departure runway 28. Initial climb flight level 90 then as filed. Squawk 6606. Alpha 6637.
Alpha 6637, red back correct, wind ready, contact Delhi ground 121.9.
121.9, Alpha 6637.
Okay. Ready.
Oh no. How long did I have the microphone off? I do this all the time. I always do that. I turn the microphone off for a second and then I forget to... I need a cough button. I keep saying this. I need a cough button. Alright, well let's do the takeoff briefing and feel stupid because every stream I do that. I forget to turn my mic back on. So if you're ever here in a stream and I disappear and you don't hear me, it's because my mic is off. I'm probably just blabbing to no one. Kind of the drawback of not having the camera on is you can't even tell that I'm talking. Alright, so we're going to push back. Tail to the left. We're going to taxi out. We'll probably get November 6 to Kilo. All the way down to Juliet 7 or Whiskey. And then take off runway 28. Actually the wrong chart for that. Runway 28. I guess it didn't matter. Wait. I didn't upgrade my chart. There we go. Alright, climbing out above 1300. Max 250, max 250. Kind of alright. Yeah, nothing really earth-shattering there. Max 250 until passing flight level 090. That's a little different. Usually it's a flight level 100. So we can actually start accelerating a little earlier. Pretty straightforward departure. Nothing crazy there. And nice little short flight into Nepal at November Golf. Juliet will be in Nepalese airspace. And then in for our arrival.
Delhi ground, Air India 215, gate, Alpha 10, request pushback and start up. Air India 215, pushback and start up approved. Pushback and start up approved, Air India 215. Delhi ground, I-Fly 6372, runway vacated with Echo 5.
Hello
Captain.
Flight
We are ready for
6272,
pushback.
taxi to gate, Delta 47, 5 Echo 5, Echo 3, Echo 4, Mark 2, Mark 1, Romeo, Charlie Whiskey 1, Tango, Sierra 3, hold short of runway 1028. Taxi to gate, Delta 47, 5 Echo 5, Echo 3, Echo 4, Mark 2, Mark 1, Romeo, Charlie Whiskey 1, Tango, Sierra 3, hold short of runway
Departure
1028.
checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
Before start checklist.
Cockpit prep.
Completed.
Completed. Gear pins and covers.
Removed.
Signs.
On and auto.
Adheres.
Nav.
Fuel quantity.
6,600 kilograms.
Takeoff data.
Set.
Barrel ref.
1015 set.
1015.
Locking
Set.
gear.
Down to the line.
My door page looks good. Checking the door page.
Ground, I-Fly 071, gate 1. Request pushback.
Beacon light on.
Release parking brakes, please.
Pushback and start up approved.
Pushback and startup approved. I-Fly 071. Release parking brakes, please. Ground, I-Fly 071. Request taxi.
Below the line.
I-Fly 071, taxi to
Windows and doors.
runway 28.
Closed.
Release parking
Closed.
brakes,
Beacon.
On.
Taxi to hold
Thrust levers.
runway 28 by Alpha.
Idle.
I-Fly
Parking brake.
071.
Released.
Release
Before
parking
start
brakes,
checklist
please.
complete.
All engines clear. Start at will. Daily ground, AIRINDIA 441, heavy, gauge.
Starting engine 2.
441. Request pushback and start up.
Check.
Airindia 441, heavy, pushback and start up approved.
Pushback and start up. AIRINDIA 441, heavy. Daily ground, AIRINDIA 441, heavy, request taxi.
Airindia 441, heavy, taxi to holding point runway 29, 5 Charlie Whiskey 1, Tango, Sierra 2, Zulu.
Taxi to holding point runway 29, via Charlie Whiskey 1, Tango, Sierra 2, Zulu, AIRINDIA 441, heavy. Daily ground, Contest 70, heavy, gate, Alpha 3, request pushback and start up.
Contest 70, heavy, pushback and start up approved.
Pushback and start up approved. Contest 70, heavy.
Daily ground, Alpha 2205, runway vacated with Echo 5.
Daily ground, Contest 70, heavy, request taxi.
Contest 70, heavy, taxi to holding point runway 29, 5 Whiskey 3, Whiskey 2, Charlie Whiskey 1, Tango, Sierra 2, Zulu.
Taxi to holding
Please set parking brakes.
Starting engine 1.
Whiskey 3, Whiskey 2, Charlie Whiskey 1.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
Heavy.
We have a good engine start.
Hold position. Hold position.
Check.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
205, taxi to gate. Romeo 9, 5 Echo 5, Echo 3, Echo 4, Mark 2, Mark 1, Romeo, Charlie Whiskey 1, Tango, Sierra 3, hold short of runway 1028. Taxi to a gate. Romeo 9, 5 Echo 5, Echo 3, Echo 4, Mark 2, Mark 1, Romeo, Charlie Whiskey 1, Tango, Sierra 3, hold short of runway 1028, flight 2205. Line 071, contact Delta.
Unlocking gear.
118.1, I-Fly 071.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
After start checklist.
Anti-ice.
Off.
Ecam status.
Checked.
Pitch trim.
Set and checked.
Rudder trim.
0.
After start checklist complete.
Flight control check.
Ready. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral.
Rudder.
Full left. Full right. Neutral.
Full up. Full left. Full right. Neutral. You never went full down. I don't know.
Delhi ground, Alpha 5606, runway vacated with Echo 5. Delhi ground, Air India 215, request taxi. Flight 5606, hold position. Flight 5606, taxi to gate, Echo 76, 5 Echo 5, Echo 3, Echo 4, Mark 2, Mark 1, Romeo, Charlie Whiskey 1, Tango, Tango 1 Alpha, hold short of runway 1028.
Actually, I know what was causing why I had an overload. Because I was using Sky Dolly to also record the flight. Too many recordings going on, too much.
Delhi ground, Air India 512, gate 6, request pushback and start up.
Flight 6372, contact Delhi Tower 118.1. 118.1, Flight 6372.
Alright, we're kind of stuck here waiting for clearance.
215, taxi to holding point runway 285, Romeo 5, Romeo, Lima 2, Papa Whiskey. Taxi to holding point runway 28 via Romeo 5, Romeo, Lima 2, Papa Whiskey, Air India 215. Air India 512, pushback and start up approved.
Pushback and start up approved, Air India 512.
Okay, so I kind of poo-pooed the payware version of this airport, but at least the payware version of the airport has the right taxiways marked. It's telling us to go Romeo. That's the complete opposite of the airport. Lima 2, I can't even find it on the chart. And Papa's, yeah. So everything's kind of backwards because we're going to runway 28. So that happens sometimes with freeway airports for some reason. I don't know why exactly, but it happens.
Continue taxi by Mark 2.
Continue taxi by Mike 2, I-Flight 1156.
Alright, so really we're going November 6, Kilo to Whiskey. Not sure where the Papa and all that goes. But we'll kind of see. They'll probably have the signs as well. What it gives us.
Flight 2205, contact Delhi Tower 118.1. 118.1, Flight 2205. Delhi ground, SpiceJet 8462, runway vacated with Delta. SpiceJet 8462, taxi to gate 141, 5 Delta Echo 2, Foxtrot 2. Taxi to gate 141, via Delta Echo 2, Foxtrot 2, SpiceJet 8462. Air India 512, contact Delta Tower 1.
Not sure why she didn't turn on the elapsed time.
118.1, Air India 512.
Delhi ground, I-Flight 6372, runway vacated with Mike 2. I-Flight 6372, continue taxi.
Yeah, also, the layout of the airport is not perfect. So, kind of a trade-off there. I mean, again, if you're looking for this airport for free, this is the one to get. Link below. If you're looking for 100%, I mean, I'm noticing some inaccuracies already here, and there you go, like, okay, this is Papa taxiway, but in real life it's Kilo, and we're also missing, there's a whole taxiway missing right next to us. It should be, we're on November 7 right now, there should be a November 6 right next to us. Oh. But I kind of wanted to check this one out, and I tried it out. I tried out the freeware version. I was like, oh, the jetways work properly. Now we're supposedly on November. Oh no, that was telling us. I feel like she hasn't done some of her flows. Oh, I probably didn't do like the clear. Why is my taxi light not on?
AIRINDIA 441, heavy. Contact Delta Tower 118.1. 118.1, AIRINDIA 441, heavy. Daily ground, IFMAC 2316, runway vacated with Delta. Delta ground, IFMAC 2205, runway vacated with Mark 2. Pipeline 2205, continue taxi by Mark 2. Continue taxi by Mark 2, IFMAC 2205. Pipeline 2316, taxi to gate 121 by Delta Echo 2 Echo. Taxi to gate 121 via Delta Echo 2 Echo, IFMAC 2316.
It's so cool when there's other traffic actually moving about the airport properly. That's one thing I'm looking forward to with Beyond ATC. I don't think we have a release date for that yet and how much it's going to totally cost, but to have better voices, to have even more interactive ATC, to have ATC that you can communicate with your voice. Offline, you know, AI ATC, not obviously not. We have VATSIM, but the problem with VATSIM is it relies on the player base on VATSIM. And so, let's say I'm flying right now in India, and no one else is flying in India on VATSIM. No ATC is on in India. Okay, VATSIM. I'm on VATSIM and I'm talking to myself. And I'm logging hours on VATSIM, but I'm not doing any of the ATC stuff. So that's something I'm looking for with Beyond ATC, is being able to practice kind of in a lower stress situation too, because the AI is not going to, I mean, it does have scolding and everything, which is kind of cool, but it's a computer scolding you, so big deal. Whereas when it's a real life person, you get a little bit more nervous. You're like, ugh, I don't like this. Alright, I think we're coming up on whiskey right here. But yeah, Beyond ATC right now, they're working on just like all the traffic injection or the traffic controlling and moving about the airport and stuff, and it's looking really good.
Then ground. IFMA 66P2. Gate 38. Request pushback and start up.
Before takeoff checklist.
IFMA 6622. Pushback and start up approved.
Flight controls.
Pushback and
Checked.
start up approved.
Checked.
IFMA 66P2.
Flight instruments.
Checked.
Check. Briefing.
Confirmed.
Then ground.
Flap setting.
IFMA 66P2.
Config 1 plus F.
Config 1 plus F. V1. VR. V2. Flex temp.
Set and checked.
V1. 1. 3. 3. VR. 1. 3. 4. V2. 1. 3. 8. Flex temp. 5. 9. Degrees. ATC.
Set.
ECAM memo.
Takeoff no blue.
Down to the line. Approach path clear of traffic.
512.
Delhi Tower, Air India 215, runway 28, ready for departure. Air India 215, line up runway 28. Line up runway 28, Air India 215. Etihad 224, heavy, wind 259 degrees at 2 knots.
Below the line.
Clear to land 27.
Clear to land 27. Etihad
Take off
224,
runway.
heavy.
28 confirmed.
Cabin crew.
Advised.
TCAS.
Approaching 28.
Set and checked. Set and checked.
Engine mode selector.
Normal.
Air India
Pax.
215, wind
On.
259 degrees.
Before takeoff checklist complete.
Cleared for takeoff.
Ready?
Ready.
Runway 28,
On
cleared for
runway
takeoff. Air India
28.
215. Qantas 70, heavy. Contact Delhi departure 124.6.
Takeoff.
124.6. Qantas 70, heavy.
Check. Thrust set. knots. V1, rotate. Positive climb.
Gear up.
Gear up.
India 215, contact Delhi departure 124.6. 124.6,
Thrust climb.
Air India 215. Delhi departure, Air India 215, Alpha Lima India 6 Bravo departure at 3000, climbing
Packs
flight
are
level
on.
90. Air India 215, radar contact, continue climb.
Autopilot
flight level
1
90.
on.
Continue climb flight level 90, Air India 215.
Hi, Red Rose. I like how I turn it on and she turns it off. I told her to turn it on. She took it too long. All right, typical weather over Delhi, New Delhi, India, where we can't see anything. And tax the graphics card. It's got to render everything behind, but then it's got to render this nice fine mist. Fog.
Air India 441 Heavy. Continue climb flight level 210. Continue climb flight level 210. Air India 441 Heavy.
After takeoff, climb checklist.
Landing gear.
Up,
Flaps.
retracted,
Packs.
on,
Down to the line.
below the line,
Barrel ref.
standard set.
1,000 to go. Standard set. After takeoff, climb checklist complete.
Proceed direct Delta Papa 680, Air India 215.
And we're going Delta Papa 680 direct. We're at 9,000 feet, flight level 90. Already passed the transition
Air
level.
India 441 Heavy. Contact Varanasi Center 120.75. 120.75. Air India 441 Heavy.
Yeah, I wish this camera would work a little bit better where you didn't have the flickering of the light on the panel, because it's nice to kind of feel like you're inside the plane. Otherwise, this one's my favorite just because you don't have that flickering light. But it feels like I'm kind of hanging out the window.
Qantas 70 Heavy. Continue climb flight level 210. Continue climb flight level 210. Qantas 70 Heavy.
Seatbelts off.
Qantas 70 Heavy. Contact Varanasi Center 120.75. 120.75. Qantas 70 Heavy. Air India 512, continue climb flight level 210.
So New Delhi's over there, all covered in fog.
Air India 512.
And unlike a lot of video games where they'll use fog as a way to kind of lower the graphic, the graphics required to be loaded in, textures and stuff. That's not what's going on here. All that's being loaded in and then covered up by weather. So that's why Microsoft Flight Simulator is such a taxing game, because you have all the scenery, then you have the weather that's put on top of the scenery, and the weather is not put on top of the scenery to require that your computer doesn't have to load it in, because it's still getting loaded in somewhere in the system. It's just behind all this nice fog. So there's a whole city back there being loaded in, graphic-wise, but I'm not seeing it. So it just seems that's the way when we're here in India.
Continue
climb when they tell me to just climb 1,000 feet.
Air India 215.
Thank you. But once we get over 9,000, flight level 90, we can start accelerating as well. All right, so the reason, you see 9,000, but why is it flight level 100? Well, that's because we're over the transition level. Now there's a transition level and there's a transition altitude. Now transition level is where you go from speaking of your altitude in feet and go to speaking of it as level. Now why do we speak of it as level? Now, I might be wrong about this, but I believe it's because you have usually your transition levels about within 1,000 feet of your transition altitude, and even that might, that 1,000 feet is not actually a thing, because transition level is based on basically your standard pressure. So it's going to be close. That transition level and your transition altitude are going to be very close to the same altitude.
120.75, Air India 215.
So I think, let me see if I can find a...
Varanasi Center, Air India 215, Alpha Lima India 6 Bravo, departure at flight
find
level
my
100.
chart, or where we're at right now.
215, radar contact. Continue climb flight level 370.
Continue climb flight level 370, Air India 215.
Okay, so the transition... So for example, the airspace we're in right now, the transition level is by ATC. So the ATC is going to determine when to go from flight level to feet. And the transition altitude is 5,000 feet. So at 5,000 feet, we go from our barometric pressure, our local barometric pressure, which was 1015 QNH, hectopascals, to standard, which is basically 1013. And they do that because once you get to this altitude, once you're high enough, once you get past that transition altitude, they want all the planes, no matter where they are, to this way you don't have to keep adjusting your pressure based on the ground pressure wherever you're flying over. And so, because at a certain altitude, you're at a safe distance above the ground, a safe altitude above ground. A safe AGL above ground level. And so you can now go to a standard pressure. Everyone's at the same pressure. ATC knows that, hey, when they tell you to be at flight level, and that's why that also goes to flight level, because you're technically not at, for example, when we're at flight level 370, your actual above sea, your MSL, your altitude above sea level is going to be different depending on the temperature, depending on that pressure, the actual local barometric pressure where you are in the air. And that's going to depend on how high you are as well. It changes. And so that's why you just have standard pressure, because to try to figure out exactly what your actual barometric pressure is at the actual point where you are in the air is just way too much to worry about, and isn't really necessary when you're high enough in the air. And so if everyone's at the same, if you're at that standard barometric pressure, and you're at flight level 370 for that barometric pressure, even if, in reality, your plane might only be at 35,000 feet, or it could be up at 38,000 feet, but it's at flight level 370 based on that standard pressure. But as we then transition, we go down, we get our transition level, we start speaking in feet again, we get our transition altitude, we go to our local pressure. As we're descending, because we're getting closer to the ground, we're getting to the point where, okay, we're in a local area, so we can be a little bit more accurate, a little bit more precise with our altitudes coming in for landing. And you want to make sure it's set correctly so that when you're coming in for the minimums and all that stuff, it fits with the ground. So you're not, oh, my indication is saying I'm at 1,000 feet and the runway's at 900 feet, but because I don't have my local pressure in, I'm actually under the ground now. I'm in the ground, or I'm way too high because I'm not going, because I ignored the local pressure. So that's what happens. That's what the transition altitude is. And then the transition level is simply where we go from talking about our altitude in feet, and we talk about it in flight level. So right now we've crossed flight level 200. I put it in quotes, 20,000 feet. That's kind of what that means, but it's not exactly 20,000 feet. All depends on what the actual pressure is outside our plane. Long-winded little explanation about that. And let's zoom out. You can see pretty long, straight legs. We're still headed to the Aligarh VOR, which is our first waypoint. Then we'll be headed over to the Jalalabad VOR. Then to the Nepal Gunj VOR, which is right inside the Nepal border. We'll have Tulsi, Bhutan, and then we'll have the Pokhara VOR. We'll make our final turn direct towards Kathmandu. Alright, so we're climbing flight level 370. Seatbelt signs are off, so the passengers move about. Not sure why my taxi license stuff. My first officer's not really doing her job very well. You're supposed to be taking care of those lights.
Cleared Aussie 6 Alpha Driver, Singapore 406, heading. Expect ILS, approach, runway 11, report when ready for descent.
Expect ILS, approach, runway 11, report when ready for descent, IFLAT 7414. IFLAT 7414, ready for descent.
IFLAT 7414, descend flight level 190.
Descend flight level 190, IFLAT 7414.
AIRINDIA 539, contact Delhi approach 126.35. 126.35, AIRINDIA 539. Singapore 406, heavy. Continue descent, flight level 150. Continue descent, flight level 150, Singapore 406, heavy.
Alright, I'm gonna grab the our MEDAR for our airport right now. That way we're not at the last second going, oh crap, we need to put all this information, because we got 45 minutes left. It's a pretty quick flight, and it's a very interesting approach. Looking forward to trying this one out. I don't remember this. I mean, I've done a lot of these flights, or flown into a lot of these airports back in X-Plane when I did the world tour in X-Plane, and these are like some of the early, like this was like the early part of my flying career in flight simulators. And I remember flying in a Paro and not being too successful at that, but I remember studying the charts and figuring out, okay, how do I do it? And I remember it being much more visual than when I did this last time. And then Kathmandu, I don't remember Kathmandu being that complicated, but I'm looking at the chart and I'm like, I don't remember doing it that way. Maybe I just didn't do it the correct way because I didn't follow charts and all that stuff back then. Now I have all of it. So, very interesting approach. We'll look at that in a few minutes.
Singapore 406, heavy. Continue descent 3000, QNH 1014. Continue descent 3000, Singapore 406, heavy.
Singapore. See right there, company message. That means we've gotten a message from our company, that being our MEDAR data. And there it is, print it out so that it's handy.
Varanasi Center, I-Flat 2376, Alpha Line India 6 Delta, departure at flight level 100, climbing flight level 210.
Alpha Line 2376, radar contact, continue climb flight level 330.
Continue climb flight level 330, I-Flat 2376.
Hi, Sai. Doing all right. Just right when you wrote the message came across, I had a Oreo in my mouth. I didn't want a bunch of chewing noises. I don't think I'm that kind of channel. One of those ASMR. Is that what it is? Why when I say it, there's some things I say out loud, and as soon as I say it out loud, it doesn't sound right. Yeah, those ASMR channels where they got the special microphones and they're rubbing their ears up against it or whatever, weird stuff.
1,000
So I was
to
muted. Oreo ASMR. Yeah, I'll have to figure out how to set my microphone up for that. And that'll be my new Twitch career. Eating Oreos. Hey. If people will pay me to eat Oreos and chew into a microphone, I guess. I don't. It's amazing. I find that stuff amazing. I'm just like, how? And they got the most viewers too. I mean, it's insane. Oh, of course, on Twitch, a lot of those ASMR channels are also. It's not. I mean, it's ASMR, but there's a video, and so you're listening. You got the microphones, but they're also rubbed up in. It seems that it's always women covered in oil and skimpy clothing, as well as expensive microphones. So, yeah, take that for what it's worth. All right, so we got our metadata. I'm gonna put the approach stuff into our approach phase here in the box. A little hard to see with the sun shining in, but I think we just barely get it. So this is from 38 minutes ago, it looks like. This is real life time, not in sim time, of course. Winds are 240 degrees at 4 knots. I think that's the visibility is 8 kilometers. Few clouds at 2,000 feet. Broken clouds at flight level 250, so about 25,000 feet. Temperature is 16 Celsius, dew point 12, QNH 1021. So put that in, 1021. Temperature 16. Winds 240 at 4 knots. Transition altitude. Is that right? That is not right. It is 13. Okay, so for some reason, the fly-by-wire, it picks up. It'll pull the transition altitude correctly for your departure airport. It'll say, so for example, we had 5,000 for flying out of New Delhi. But then on the arrival, it always has a it'll automatically put in the transition altitude, but it pulls the wrong one. It pulls in the transition level, which is flight level 150, where the transition altitude is actually 13.5. We'll put that in.
Descend flight level 190. Descend flight level 190.
Now maybe that's actually the correct way it's supposed to do it. It's going by transition level because you're at the... It's kind of weird how that works. Yeah, actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, that's actually probably correct. Because now I'm actually thinking about it. Not only is the transition, we were talking about this before, transition levels where you go from talking about your altitude in levels versus feet. But now I'm thinking about it. Why is it pulling in transition altitude 15,000? Well, because we're right now at level. We're talking about everything in transition level. So how do I know when to switch to my local pressure? Well, at transition level 15,000. So on my little right here, when I'm at 15,000, I'm at standard pressure. Whereas on the chart where it says transition altitude, that's for when you're climbing out, because obviously when you're climbing out, your little strip here is going to say 13,500 at the local pressure, and then you're going to switch to standard. Boom, my mind has just blown up. I just learned something new. This is how I learn. I sometimes sit there and I kind of, just kind of think about it. I'm like, wait a second, that's why. So everything I just said, this is actually correct. Your flight computer, in the fly-by-wire, in the Phoenix, it's automatically going to pull in the transition level on your descent, on your arrival airport, because that's where you're going to be transitioning to the ground pressure. You're not going to wait until the transition altitude because you don't know. Your altitude isn't going to be exactly the same. So of course you're going to use the transition level when you're in standard, and transition altitude when you're not in standard. Amazing. The things I learn. The things I finally figure out after 500 flights or whatever. I don't know how many flights I've done exactly, but a lot. Don't you have Instagram? I do have Instagram. I don't typically use it a lot. I need to get into it. I'm terrible. I'm just terrible. I'm so terrible at social media. Like I instinctively, like every day I pop on to Facebook and I comment on random things. I very rarely post my own stuff to Facebook anymore. I'm so old school in that way because Facebook came out when I was in college. Like my first year in college, that's when Facebook was like started. And it was for us college students. Oh, like Instagram is always, I've never really got good at Twitter. Never really got huge into Instagram, so I do need to kind of look into that and learn it. I know everyone's on Instagram, and I know it's, but for some reason I just don't. And as I get older here too, like the last couple of years, I'm on social media occasionally, like, but it's kind of a take it or leave it thing kind of now, where it's like I'll go days without really, like I'll pop Facebook open, see what notifications popped up. And usually it's nothing because Facebook is garbage at this point. Yeah, I'm just like I used to be. I mean, when I was younger, when I was in China, I had a ton of time to waste. Now it's, I mean, you'd think I'd be on Instagram because I'm more often on my phone, because at work I have my phone with me, and so that's why I could pop open as opposed to being on, you know, having my triple monitors and doing all that stuff with YouTube and Twitch or whatever. And frankly, I know people say this all the time. It's like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's like, yeah, I do. The problem is I have this mindset that I have limited time, which I do have limited time. I have much more limited time than I used to have because I work all the time now. I have a kid, all that. I do still have time. The problem is that when I do have time, I just want to fly or I just want to play a game. I don't want to learn how to do things. I used to have, when I had all the free time in the world, I would learn so many different things. And now I've kind of gotten to the point where it's like, I don't learn anything now. In regards to computers and social media and streaming and all that stuff. You know, I don't keep up on things, and I do need to fix that. But alright, so we already set up the approach. Our approach page. That's set up. Actually, we'll put in that minimum as well. We'll go right here. I'm going to pull open the chart, show you what we're dealing with for Kathmandu. Yeah, you can hear in the background, just probably subtly, you can hear the dinging. Those are actually the passengers in back requesting the flight attendants. Yep, I'm from the USA. Where are you from, Sai? Ah, from India. Cool. Yeah, we just flew out of there. Awesome. Yeah, next flight we'll be flying, so tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock. I need to write this stuff down for sure. I need to check it every once in a while, but let's see. World clock. Alright, so we are, for me right now, it's 8:17 in the morning. So what I want to do, how do I... over
Piranha
there.
6 Hector, red light 766 at flight level 360. Red Knight 766, radar contact, proceed direct Puma, maintain flight level 360. Proceed direct Papa Uniform Nitos Kathmandu, maintain flight level 360.
747 for you.
766.
So let's see, that's gonna be, yeah. Well, that's confusing because you got that half-hour difference too. So my stream would start, let's see, 6:47. I think 6:30 in the evening is when my streams start for you, because I start 7 in the morning here. It'll be 6:30 in the evening for you. So tomorrow morning, or for you tomorrow evening, 6:30. Obviously for all of us here in Central Time. What is Zulu time for it? That way we can have the Greenwich Mean Time, just kind of the standard across the board. Okay, 6 hours ahead right now, so 1300 Zulu time. Universal time, UTC. Probably the more politically correct term now. That one, UTC. My streams usually start 1300 UTC. Tomorrow we'll be flying from Kathmandu down to Mumbai on Air Nepal. That'll be a nice long flight across India down to Mumbai. Then from Mumbai, next week will be... I'll try to post a message on Facebook as well for these flights, or for the schedule as we get closer and I can nail down the schedule. And of course I'll try to make sure I change when the live stream is scheduled as well. So we're going Kathmandu to Mumbai tomorrow, and then from Mumbai we'll go over to Colombo Bandaranaike in Sri Lanka. Then from there we'll go down to Malé in the Maldives, and then up to Cochin in India. So we're kind of around the India area. Yep, Mumbai, not Mumbai to Malé. We're going to be going Mumbai to Colombo, and then Colombo to Malé, and Malé to Cochin, then Cochin back to Colombo. And then we'll head out of the area over to Pakistan, to Karachi, on the world tour here. So yeah, we're flying into a few areas. Flew into Delhi, Mumbai. We're going to fly into Mumbai and Cochin. So get a few. I figure for such a huge country like India, we should at least fly into a few places. I mean, we flew to a number of airports in the U.S. We flew into a couple Canadian airports. We flew, let's see, we did Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong. I mean, Hong Kong and Macau, technically China, but also technically their own thing. And we're going to fly into Urumqi for China. So again, our bigger countries, we're hitting a few airports, a few different places. I think that's fair, right? Why not? We got the Sharda River, Sharda and Gaghara rivers. Flying over Uttar Pradesh. And pretty soon we'll be crossing into Nepal. You can see the Himalayas coming into view.
Air India 215, contact Kathmandu Center 124.7. 124.7, Air India 215. Kathmandu Center, Air India 215, inbound November Golf Juliet at flight level 370.
Air India 215, radar contact, maintain flight level 370.
Maintain flight level 370, Air India 215.
SpiceJet 8199, proceed direct command. Proceed direct command, SpiceJet 8199. iFly 2385, proceed direct command, contact the Varanasi Center 120.75.
Proceed direct Papa Uniform Mike Oscar Tango 120.75, iFly 2385.
Alright, we just crossed into, obviously we got the call to contact Kathmandu Center, so that meant we crossed into Nepal airspace. Well, basically everything we're seeing now on the screen is Nepal. Yeah, it's amazing. I don't remember it looking in X-Plane looking this good. And even in X-Plane, I mean X-Plane I would have to manually download the imagery to inject in so it would look like this. And that takes a lot of storage space and time to do that. So I wouldn't get it all. I would just get it like for the local area, more closer to the airport as we're on lower altitudes. And then the rest of the area was kind of. I think I downloaded a pack that had satellite imagery of a sort, but it was very zoomed out, very blurry. It wasn't great. You know, but here in Microsoft Flight Simulator, it just pulls it in from the cloud. So that all that infinite, you know, the quote-unquote infinite storage of the cloud, it just pulls it in, and it looks amazing. Yep. Yeah, and I don't know what it's going to look like in, if it's going to look better in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I know there will be some things probably. There must be some graphical enhancements. We'll see. I don't think I'm going to be getting Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I'll be, hopefully, fingers crossed, spending all my money going to flight school. And so, spending $100 on Microsoft Flight Simulator is, like, when I put it in perspective, $100 is not that much, but when you're, you know, at that point, when you've spent, you're on a real tight budget, it is. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. But by the time Flight Simulator 2028 comes out, I'll probably pick that one up, and hopefully it's just. I mean, the leap between. I'm trying to think like the levels of I mean, even the leap between X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator in terms of graphics. So I had X-Plane 11, which was new. It was pretty new when I got it in 2018. And it was basically the only flight simulator on the market besides Prepared 3D, I think. You know, that was, you know, modern. And I went from that in 2020 to Microsoft Flight Simulator, and the leap between X-Plane to Microsoft Flight Simulator in terms of at least graphics, like flight, a lot of the flight stuff kind of the same. You know, I don't think Microsoft Flight Simulator took a massive leap there. In some areas, it's actually a step back. And so I'm hoping by, 2028, 8 years between what I have right now, well, it'll be 5 years from now, but, between Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and 2028, there's just that leap. That's what you're always hoping for. I just picked up, every few years I make the mistake of picking up Madden Football, and Madden Football is a huge video game. I don't know how huge it is in India or how big it is in the whole world, but it's huge in America because football is huge. And that game comes out every year. And when I was younger, I would get that game every other year because it didn't make sense to get it every year. And when you're on a kid budget, you can't buy it every year. But I remember when I was a kid, like even with the 2 years between, things would upgrade. The game would get better. They'd add more stuff. It would get more accurate to the real world, what it's trying to represent. But for some reason, now I get it, and it's been 10 years since the last one I got, or whatever, and it's actually worse. It's somehow getting worse and worse every year. It's a money grab now at this point. Hey, Mika. Is it Mika or is it Micah? Is it an E or an I? Micah or Mika? I've been saying it Mika for the whole time. I don't know if I've asked this before. I just want to get it right. Alright, so we got expect bidder arrival, or bider arrival, RNAV approach, runway 20, report when ready for descent. Alright, let's go in and adjust our flight plan for that, because we're not taking the Manka. Bidder. Oh, we're actually coming in the other runway. Okay. Completely the other direction. Bidder. Approaches. RNAV, runway 20.
AMD 215, expect speed arrival, Delta Alpha Romeo Kilo Echo, RNAV, approach, runway 20, report when ready for descent.
Okay, there we go.
Expect speed arrival, Delta Alpha Romeo Kilo Echo, RNAV, approach, runway 20, report when ready for descent, Air India 215.
Okay, arrival. Let's do this. RNAV, runway 20, bidder, transition dark, or via dark. Insert. Make sure everything. Alright, just double checking. Make sure everything is where we want it. Okay, so we're Pubab, going Pak. Manka, bidder. Gadger. Dark, Palam. 566, 64, 26, 24. Okay, that looks right.
Air India 215, ready for descent.
Ah, Misha.
Air India 215,
Misha?
10,500 QN81017.
How do you say the I, though? Is it an
Descent
an E,
10,500, Air
long?
India 215.
Misha or Misha? Yes. Well, I said an or. It was an or. It's kind of like when my eye doctor asked me, which one is it? A or B? A or B? So, I don't know which one was the first one. Misha? Like Michigan? Mish? Eh? Oh, Misha? I'll have to try to remember that. No. Okay, Misha. Alright. Getting distracted by your name. You need to descend. You don't want to be behind. Alright. 10,500. UNH 1017. Once we get to that transition level of transition level, flight level 150. As we'll be in flight level still. Yeah, look at that. QNH is the your barometric pressure. Yeah, what does QNH itself stand for? What does QNH stand for? Alright, in aviation, QNH refers to atmospheric pressure at sea level, typically measured in hectopascals, which is what we're in, so 1017, or in inches of mercury, which is the US. Okay, so you have QNH. Then QNH stands for nautical height. The Q is just a code. So it's nautical height. And then there's also a QFE, which is a field elevation. And then there's QNE, which is the vertical distance in feet between the standard pressure and the aircraft. And again, this is all stuff I'm going to have to learn and know. I probably will end up calling you Micah or Mika. Well, where are you at, Misha? I forget. You're right there. You're right there on the French border, aren't you? Are you? Switzerland. I'm just trying to think. My German is so, that's why my German, I mean French it would be, right? I mean French that would be a mish, right? Sh, yeah, CH would be a sh, like chef, right? And then, you know, Michigan. But German, I'm trying to think how it is in German. I feel like in German, you know, like Reich, right? That's probably what I probably kind of went more with a German, at least in my mind. That's why I was saying Mika, probably, given that put the hard K on the CH as opposed to more of that soft the sh, like in French. Can we descend a little faster here? We need a 10,500 at dark, our transition. Okay. So let's, right there, dark. We're gonna be there. Progress, can I look? That doesn't help me. Oh, there it is. 8:46 UTC. That's 13 minutes. We are descending at a rate of basically 13,000 feet. We'll only be at 20,000 if we keep it this rate. Right? We need to double our rate. I don't know why it's doing that. So let's go. So I got the managed descent, but it's descending me too slow. Put the speed brakes out. That's probably because it's trying to maintain the speed. We don't go over speed. But we do need to lose It's a Russian name. Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I always thought they said it Mika, though. Misha. Or Misha? Right, it was Misha, yeah. Misha. With a short I. Oh, yeah, we can do that. Let's get that. Well, we'll go in. We'll do it inside. Do an inside view first. You can kind of see the flaps up right there, right? That's a beautiful view, isn't it? You hear that? You hear that? I've noticed it lately in this plane when we're on descent. Then I just start hearing that. Sounds like I think that's the radar. Which is pretty cool. Hey, that city right down there, that's Pokhara. Well, there's the winds, but then there's also one. You can hear it rotating. It's going. You know, it's not just a constant. Yeah, it's distinct from the wind. It's a little different. That's beautiful.
AIRINDIA 215, proceed direct beta.
Proceed direct beta, AIRINDIA 215.
Oh, they did a great job. I mean, for all the crap we give them, the amount of people that have gotten into flying, into flight simming, because Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is amazing. And I mean, it was that way with the old Microsoft Flight Simulators too. You know, the old flight simulators, and to bring it finally into the this generation. Yeah, well, it seems to me like they're like the big things that I've seen for Microsoft Flight Simulator, you know, at least with that, the initial trailer, was that they're adding in the career, you know, they're adding in some of those activities, which kind of goes back to the old Flight Simulator games where you had those activities like putting out fires and helping with construction projects and stuff like that. So, again, I started my flight simulating in X-Plane, where this is what you did in X-Plane. You set up your plane, you flew a plane. It was more, you had to do, it was more just a platform, and then you did with it what you would. But to have things like that built in, that you can actually do activities, is kind of cool. It'd be interesting to see if, you know, those activities, you can have those activities happen anywhere in the world, or if they're only set places. Because it'd be cool to do, like, you know, rescue missions in a helicopter anywhere in the world, right? You know, not just, oh, you can only do it here in the, you know, San Bernardino Valley near Los Angeles, or you can only do it here. But no, I want to do it, you know, I want to do some rescue missions in Kansas or something, or whatever it is. Or I think the problem with X-Plane, well, it's funny because, X-Plane, because I don't think there's any way to just start, like, you can't just start on the runway with the plane running. Whereas with Flight Simulator, at least with the generic, you know, the Azobo planes, you start on the runway, the engine's running, you can just take off and fly. Whereas X-Plane, you did need to learn how to start the plane. But otherwise, so that's where the arcadey part of Microsoft Flight Simulator is, where you can just jump in and fly. You can jump in and fly in the middle of the air. Whereas X-Plane, no, yeah, you gotta start on the ground. You have to flip all the switches to turn it on. At least as far as I remember, I think they're, you know, I don't recall if there was a way to quick start, like just start your engine, it would just do it all automatically. I do miss the, I kind of miss the interface a little bit with X-Plane. Sometimes. You know, just kind of the simple menus. Flight Simulator. I think sometimes I've noticed it feels like a lot of games nowadays, the menu screens, the screens outside the actual gameplay feel a little bit too overproduced and wonky. And I've noticed this on all kinds of things, like Train Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator, but, you know, Madden, you know, so many games now where the menu screens just seem so much more clunky and weird than, like, I go back and I play my old games and they feel, they everything feels more solid. Like the menu screens feel more solid. Like, okay, these are here, I know these are gonna work. The game, once I get into the game and actually get into, you know, some more heavy graphics, you know, where it's actual gameplay, that might crash and be wonky. But the menus always felt like, and maybe maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just making it all up and seeing things, but yes, ortho. That's why I wish there was an option. I wish I could figure out a way. I wish there was. I haven't, like, if there was a ortho 4XP option for Microsoft Flight Simulator, it'd be kind of cool, because there are just some areas in the world that they pull it in from the server and it sucks. China being a great example of this, where it'd be really cool to be able to go, hey, you know what, I want to use the Google and I want to pull, and I know there's the map replacement, but that's, it'd be cool to be able to do it by individual tile and say, okay, I want to pull it in here, I want to make it look good here, you know, to the point where then people could, you could even just download, you know, similar, kind of almost the way we do with like cities, where people do upload like the photogrammetry for cities, you know, pulling it from Google, which isn't perfect either. But Ortho 4XP just, it was great for what it was, and it definitely did make things. It made it flyable. Otherwise, it would have been pretty miserable a lot of places. Yeah, I think, and hopefully it just gets better. I mean, you could.
Altimeter setting.
I couldn't have imagined this even in 2018 doing this. Like, I didn't think it was possible. Like, when I had X-Plane, I was like, oh yeah, you're gonna have your generic landscapes, and then I was like, oh, Ortho XP, okay, you can download the satellite imagery and it pastes it on there, okay, but everything's still gonna be flat. It's not gonna pull. And then this came out. I mean, the number one reason I got Microsoft Flight Simulator was because of the scenery. That I would be able to fly anywhere in the world and it would look like that place in the world without me having to use Ortho XP.
Altimeter setting.
Okay, so it's bugging me about the altimeter setting because it thinks we're in the US and 18,000 feet. Now, of course, we're waiting for flight level 150, which we're getting close to, and we'll pop that altimeter setting to 1017. Other flight sims seem so outdated. Yeah, and unfortunately, like even X-Plane, I mean, there are some things with graphics in X-Plane that I think do look better than Flight Simulator. I think X-Plane still has the superior replay system.
Setting.
At least it was so much easier to use. I don't know if they've upgraded the one here in Flight Simulator, make it more user-friendly, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm wondering if some other company that's got, you know, if Google, I mean, because right now you got Microsoft and Azobo, you know, with Bing Maps. Like, I'm waiting for Google or Amazon to like throw its hat into the game making ring, you know, and develop a flight simulator, like a Google flight simulator using Google Maps, doing basically what Microsoft Flight Simulator, but do it even better, right? But again, Microsoft Flight Simulator has that, it's got that legacy almost. Okay, I feel like I'm getting too low here, doesn't it? Getting a little nervous. Oh, I think I'll be fine.
Altimeter setting.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like, you know, the guy that creates X-Plane. It's like one guy almost, right? Or there's a, you know, one key guy. I also like. I mean, I edited airports in X-Plane because it was. Again, I had time to figure out how to do it too. So.
AIRINDIA 215, clear for arrival.
All right, clear for the arrival. We never actually went into that. Let's take a look at it really quick.
Altimeter setting.
We're set. Oh no, I didn't set it right. We're 1017. There it is. Yeah, we're gonna pull this up really quick because again, I got talking about other things and we didn't
1,000 to
really
go.
look at this. Okay, so here's the arrival. We'll actually click on it so we can see it. We come in, and we curve around, and then into runway 20.
Altimeter setting.
Now, the interesting thing is if we were going into, I think that's into 20, yeah. If we're going to 02, I think we actually loop around a couple times. We kind of do this loop around there. Now the go around, the missed approach is actually a little bit easier with this one. Just up and out. And you gotta climb because we're kind of in a bowl. That's what it is. We're in this bowl between these mountains. I remember now. So we climb out.
Altimeter setting.
Going on my altimeter setting. Let's get our speed down. Not taking us all the way down to 130 something, is it? Anyway, I kind of didn't get all that stuff. Our minimum is, gotta put this in, minimum is 4,705
fly
feet.
heading 105, continue descent
Seems too low, actually,
7,900.
but
Fly heading 105, continue descent 7,900, AIRINDIA 215.
alright, minimum speed, or our max speed is 200 knots. Looks like we're already kind of there. Approach checklist.
Briefing.
Confirmed.
ECAM status.
Checked.
Seatbelts.
Altimeter setting.
On.
Barrel ref.
1017 set.
1017. Set. Minimum.
4,705 feet set.
4705. Set. Engine mode selector.
Normal.
Approach checklist complete.
Alright, so we got flaps 1.
Altimeter setting.
Keeps going on. Turn that off. Got the altimeter, right? 1017, yeah. Oh, even more beautiful as we get lower. You start seeing the colors of the trees. So the problem with, I'm using Bajan Hibachi's. I have to try out the Rex ones. But Bajan Hibashi's trees is that as you zoom out further, you kind of can't see the colors. It just kind of all gets green. I don't know if
to go.
that's a limitation of the SDK or what. But as you get closer, you start noticing all the fall colors. Yep, still that radar sound. Yeah, it's hard for them. But I think, you know, X-Plane still has the, you know, they're still in that more the hardcore sim market.
AIRINDIA 215.
You know, the more accurate flight model, the way they do the flight modeling and stuff. That's what they've always been. They know what they are. Yeah, see, I don't remember the I say, I remember this, like, you know, flying over Kathmandu. I was like, well, it's not that difficult to get in. But it is, because you're kind of in this bowl, and so you don't have a lot of room to do a nice straight in approach. So you have to kind of curve around. You should be in the airport. Alright, max 220 knots, 7,900 feet, Kilo Tango 424.
Left heading 125, Air India 215.
Yeah, airport's right there. Should be able to see it. A little bit of fog. Roberto! Yep, we're landing. The approach path here in Kathmandu, because obviously we're kind of basically in a bowl. See the mountains all around us. So to get to the airport, which I still can't see it. It must be like right there behind our... I mean, we're literally at runway shoot right there. I don't know. Flaps 2.
Air India 215, turn left heading 060.
Left heading 060, Air India 215.
Flaps 2.
Air India 215, continue descent 7,400.
Continue descent 7,400, Air India 215.
Flaps 3.
Speed check. Flaps 3.
Air India 215, contact Kathmandu approach 125.1.
125.1, Air India 215.
Flaps full.
Kathmandu approach, Air India 215 at 7,600.
Speed check.
Air India 215, radar contact, turn left
Flaps
heading
full.
030, maintain 7,400, QNH 1021.
Left heading 030, maintain 7,400, Air India 215.
Gear down.
Air India 215, fly heading 020, clear Palam, approach at 4,400, runway 20, report established final track.
Fly heading 020,
down.
cleared INAV, approach at 4,400, runway 20, report established final track, Air India 215.
Landing checklist.
Cabin crew.
Advised.
Auto thrust.
Speed.
Auto brake.
Medium.
ECAM memo.
Landing, no blue.
Landing checklist complete.
2,500. 2,500.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make I'll make a replay video of this approach. We'll kind of do an external view, do some different views, maybe make some YouTube shorts with it.
100.
Radar altimeter alive.
Keeping an eye on our altitude at 418. The next waypoint coming up, we should be at about 5,400 feet. So we're a little bit behind the green dot. Man, it's beautiful here.
Sync rate.
One thousand. 1,000. 1,000.
AIRINDIA 215 established on final track.
AIRINDIA 215, continue approach.
Continue approach, AIRINDIA 215.
100 above.
Oh, there's the runway.
400.
When am I going to see it?
400.
AIRINDIA 215, contact Kathmandu Tower 118.1.
118.1, AIRINDIA 215.
Sync rate.
Kathmandu Tower, AIRINDIA 215, on final, 20.
50, 40, 30,
AIRINDIA
20,
215,
10,
wind 120
5.
degrees, at 3 knots, clear to land, 20.
Confirm on that.
20.
Now reverse
AIRINDIA
engine 1 and 2. Decel.
AIRINDIA 215, wind vacated, contact ground,
70 knots.
121.9.
When vacated, contact ground, 121.9, AIRINDIA 215. Kathmandu ground, AIRINDIA 215, runway vacated with Delta. AIRINDIA 215, taxi to gate 4 via Delta, Foxtrot. Taxi to gate 4 via Delta, Foxtrot, AIRINDIA 215.
Alright, gate 4. After landing checklist.
Flaps.
Retracted.
Spoilers.
Disarmed.
APU.
Yeah, it was kind of firm. Start.
Radar.
Off.
Predictive wind shear system.
Off.
After landing checklist complete.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a firm. We'll see what we get. Let's see, what do I have here? Yeah, negative 472, so similar to landing in Paro. I guess I just get a little nervous landing in these mountain airports. Ooh, my co-pilot here? No. Don't say that. Okay, which one do I follow? I think this is GSX right here. I love when they have two marshallers. Cabin crew disarm slides and cross check.
The boarding requested.
Parking checklist.
APU bleed.
On.
Engines.
Off.
Seatbelts.
Off.
Exterior lights.
Nav logo on.
Fuel pumps.
Fuel pumps off. Off.
Parking brake and chocks.
On.
Passengers deboarding
Parking
started.
checklist complete.
I don't know why we're in an external view that a few of those messages pop out. The flight crew messages. Are we going to deboard? No? I mean, the door's open, but the stairs aren't coming. Oh, that's sad. That's sad. Yeah, why aren't the staircases coming? They should. I mean, they're deboarding, it's just not working with GSX properly. Sometimes that happens. Oh well. Alright, let's I can go away for now. This can go away. Get out of my face. They're the second person to arrive, at least on Volanta. That's not the right one. On Volanta. Tracking. Second person to arrive in Kathmandu. There's our flight path. Actually, the approach doesn't look as complicated, but with the go around and all that on the chart makes it look a little complicated. All right, flight time 1 hour and 17 minutes. Landing rate a little bit firm. Yep. Distance 519 miles, just over 3,000 kilos burned for fuel, 160 passengers, and landing speed, I mean, wasn't bad. Just a little bit firm on the landing. And we'll open up the World Tour map. Everywhere we've been on the World Tour so far, every country. And today we... Oops. I have no way to show... Get back in there. There we go. Now we can show it. And today we arrived in Nepal. So next flight we'll be flying down to Mumbai on Air Nepal. That'll be tomorrow morning, 1300 Universal Time. So I hope to see you guys all there. We'll be in the Airbus A320 once again, so we'll have our wonderful first officer helping us out, flipping all those switches, which really makes flying enjoyable, not having to worry about flipping and 15 switches while we're trying to land or we're trying to taxi and I have to look away and then I go off in the grass. So, yep, as I said, 1300 tomorrow morning. If you haven't already, give this video a like, comment below. If you're watching in replay, hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. If you're watching here on Twitch, please leave a follow and consider subscribing. It'd be very wonderful. It's a Mate's World. That was cool. What was the world map you used? I think I just pulled it off of... I think I just looked up on the internet. Maybe just like world map outline or something. I can't remember. You know, just found something and like an SVG file that you can edit in. I use Adobe Illustrator, and I've, you know, and originally I just highlighted the countries in just a solid color, and I was like, oh wait, I know how to take images or other graphics and put them into different shapes like that. So I did that, and then I reveal it. So yeah, nothing fancy, really. For a few of my videos, I did actually have a little. I went into After Effects and made like a nice little zoom in on the map and everything, but that takes too much time for every single flight. I'd have to do that 300 times or whatever. But if I was doing something like a real huge production, I would. But we're just live streaming here, right? So thanks for stopping in. Again, replay will be up on YouTube, hopefully this afternoon or evening, barring any issues. And I will see you guys, if it's live, I will see you tomorrow, November 29th at 1 p.m. Universal time, Universal Coordinated Time, or whatever it is, 1300 Zulu. And until then, happy flying and take care.